Hello and welcome back to my video blog, and a very happy new year to all of you as well. And as we head towards the end of this project, The Sound of Disability, these video blogs will become more and more frequent, you may be glad to hear. The end of the project is technically in March. That's when I'm going to be handing in the piece. So, we are heading in towards those final stages now, and on the next video blog I will be telling you and showing you where I am up to with the piece. But today, the focus is very much on Attitude is Everything, a wonderful organisation that you may already be familiar with. They provide access to the arts and to arts venues and festivals around the UK for those who have a disability of any kind. And I met with its founder and CEO, Suzanne MBE, towards the end of last year. And we had a conversation about Attitude is Everything. We talked about what it does practically and what it stands for, and what follows in a moment are a few clips from that conversation. And before I play parts of the interview, I would just like to remind you that your views and your comments are always welcome as well, and you can leave a comment in the space below, or you can get in touch with me directly on Twitter at Lloyd R. Coleman. So please do that. And obviously, in relation to this video blog, I'd be really keen to hear your experiences of accessing arts venues around the UK, and perhaps you yourself have already benefited from the work that Attitude is Everything does. So, as promised, here is my conversation with Suzanne Bull, MBE. Welcome, Suzanne.
Hello.
And you're the chief executive of Attitude is Everything. We're going to assume no knowledge here.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's watching this who hasn't heard of Attitude is Everything, could you explain what you do?
Yeah, so Attitude is Everything began as a pilot project in 2000, and it improves deaf and disabled people's access to live music by working in partnership with artists, audiences and the wider music industry. And we improve access by implementing a charter of best practice in music venues and festivals. And what we do is encourage the music industry to sign up to this charter and pledge to go beyond the minimum requirements of the Disability Discrimination part of the Equality Act. So as I said, we were only meant to be a pilot project to experiment with this for a year, and now 14 years later we're still going, and we're a fully fledged charity with core funding from Arts Council England.
Yes, it's grown into this incredible success story, and I think particularly this year you've had a lot of press coverage. Mm-hmm. Mainly because obviously you provided services at the Glastonbury Festival for the first time, is that right?
No. I think we've been working with Glastonbury since 2005.
Oh, right.
So when we first came onto site, there were 195 customers that they had identified that needed like the access services in the campsite, or they wanted the concessionary personal assistant ticket, or they needed parking, or they needed access to the viewing platforms and accessible toilets.
Sure.
That's let alone all the people that don't need those facilities. But by this year, there's over 1,500 people booked into the accessible campsite. And we also, what they contacted us for as well was to take over the kind of voluntary stewarding programme, so to put deaf and disabled stewards into the stewarding programme that they have. And this was Melvin Ben's idea. He's the managing director of the Festival Republic, because he wanted people on site at Glastonbury and also across his festivals, which are Reading, Leeds, Latitude. And he also did the Big Chill for a couple of years as well, to make sure that people felt safe on site, and they had like-minded people that knew what the experience was like to be a deaf or disabled customer or performer on site.
And with a festival like Glastonbury or Latitude or Reading or Leeds, they're all, like you say, enormous festivals. Can you just give us a few examples of the sort of services you can provide, sort of practical examples of how you can ensure that people remain safe and sound at a festival?
I think that you can never really kind of replace that person-to-person support. That there is that volunteer or experienced steward on site that can help you find the shortest way, talk through if you've been at the festival for the first time, even help carry your stuff or put up your tent if that's what you need.
Yeah.
That's really important, because I think you can put all the access facilities in place, but if people are a bit like laissez-faire about helping you, or are not really bothered, or in fact are quite obstructive about what you need from them, then that really does change your festival experience. And all the kind of feedback that I receive, and it's quite nice at the end of the festival season, I do receive quite a lot of feedback from the customers saying, oh, your volunteers really changed the experience I had on site. That's how I really feel. However, we do put in viewing platforms with toilets or viewing areas if the tents aren't really huge. It depends on the capacity. There's that dedicated accessible campsite if that's what people want. There's parking as close as we can get it as well. There's entrance to the arena as close as we can get it. There's that personal assistant.
My final question is really, if someone's watching this and they haven't come across the work you do before, and they want to know which festivals, concerts, events you provide for, where do they go and how do they get the tickets for those events? Do they go through the normal channels, or do they come to you to buy tickets?
Well, that's another interesting question about ticket sales, because actually we've been working on a project with STAR, which is the Society of Ticketing Agents and Retailers, and what they're looking at is this issue that booking systems and the ways that people buy their tickets aren't completely accessible, and also want to try and introduce this idea of a universal card system, like the cinema exhibitors card. So if you're a disabled person, you can get a card, flash a card, everyone know your kind of access requirements are programmed on that to that, and anyone buying your ticket knows what you kind of need. And to make things so much easier, because a lot of the time disabled people have to hang on to premium phone lines, especially if they're missing out, especially on the things like the priority booking systems. And not everyone uses the phone, and people might want to email their access requirements instead. And why shouldn't you be able to just click onto a website and click the wheelchair space that you want, for example? Why shouldn't you kind of be able to do that? Because at the moment it's not accessible. So we've been looking at those issues as well. So at the moment, I would say, just for the time being, the best place is to go to the venue or festival, but bear in mind that to check carefully, because some of their sections may have a dedicated access line or an access email that you can use and click on. But bear in mind is that by the time the project the end point or the end result is that ticketing systems, you should be able to buy a ticket from anywhere and have a card which has your personalised details on it.
Well, Suzanne, I am full of admiration for what you do, and I think it's just it's incredible what you've achieved so far, but also it's so exciting, I think, what you've yet to achieve, what you're working towards, like the ticketing system you mentioned. So thanks for talking to us today, and really good luck for the future as well.
Thank you. I'd also like to say that it's a team effort. There's a really lovely team that work at Attitude Is Everything, and their ethos is to make things as easy for people and also to work in a positive way with the music industry as well. So, get in contact with us on info@attitudeseverything.org.uk or 0207 383 7979, and we'll try and help the music industry or deaf and disabled customers in any which way we can.
Thanks, Suzanne. Thank you to Attitude Is Everything. This video blog was filmed and presented by Lloyd Coleman, edited and creatively supported by Ivan Riches, and produced by Trish Wheatley. The Sound of Disability is funded by the Arts Council of England. Dow Commissions, disabilityartsonline.org.uk.